I could talk about this on my main channel, but YouTube doesn't like it. Ever since the Johnny Depp thing, they demonetize it. So, like, if it demonetizes a stream, it's okay. But on the main channel, in order to keep with the algorithm, everything has to be clean. Papa Diddy. Wow, what a name. It's kind of like one of the things, like, you hear about it, and it's like, who would name themselves Papa Diddy? Why would you name yourself Papa Diddy? And then you find out that it's like, oh, shit. That's why. Yeah. We're going to talk about him today. We're also going to cover different topics. My favorite one is left-leaning people going around and trying to defend, yet again, what is it now? Dragon Age, right? They tried their best to defend Concord. They didn't learn a lesson from that. Now they're defending Dragon Age. I gotta say, this game, like you can feel that the consultants did their utmost best to piss people off. Like, they dedicated probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, into hiring the best people at pissing off the market. This is not accidental. Like, they went out of their way to push, like, all of the American leftist ideology into this game's aesthetics. And they're outspoken about it. It's like, yes, we're trying to change morality. So, good luck with that. But what's interesting is that you have, like, a couple of individuals that are trying to make what appears to be a beautiful character with the game's editor, right? So, they showed this. I really don't understand the whiner. It's like, listen, you chucklehead, right? It's my money. I'm not the corporate's wallet. Like, if the company is begging me for cash, you need to understand the power dynamics and the relationships here, right? The company is not my mummy, is not my daddy. They have no authority over me. They are coming to my door on my computer screen, and they are begging me for cash. They are like, V, please, we gotta pay our employees. We gotta feed our children. V, give us cash. And I look at them with the most unimaginable disdain. Like, you think you know how much disdain I have, but you don't. Trust me. Like, no, your imagination isn't rich enough to know, like, the disdain I have towards BioWare. And I look at them like a medieval king, you know, like with this huge contempt and disdain, and I tell them, no. And when that happens, you sense a disturbance in the force. You're like, oh no, he doesn't want to be the wallet to the company. Oh, he must be crying. He must be whining. I'm going to gaslight people and say that he is immature. What type of human being does he think he is to withdraw the $120 that he owes to Dragon Age? And the answer is, I am the troll. I am the one who could. I am the one who can do something that you cannot. I can say no to corporatism. You lefty twat, you're like, oh, capitalism bad, wasteful capitalism evil, but you open your wallet and you give the cash, Unlike you, I say no, fuck corporatism. I will not give them the $120. So, basically, as this is happening, it's like the whiners don't understand that you can actually make feminine characters in Dragon Age. And I look at this and I'm like, holy shit, I recognize this lady. Like, I recognize this chancla, this massive corporeal manifestation gorging herself on the fruits of capitalism. I have seen her before. And I'm like, where exactly have I seen this plump mamacita? And then it came to me. You see, my grandmother, God bless her soul, she used to watch telenovelas. And in those telenovelas, it was usually the love story of a guy that was insanely wealthy, lived in a big house, and he managed to find a very beautiful woman, but she was poor. It's almost like every single telenovela like had these plot themes, almost every single fucking one. And this would have been the role of the grandma. Like, in that telenovela, this would have been the role of the grandma. Usually, she would be the negative character associated with the main romance interest, right? Like, she would be the mother of the son, and she would be disgusted that, like, why is he dating this beautiful, gorgeous woman, but she is poor? He should be dating a woman from his class, you know? And this would be the grandma. Like, dude, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like I'm telling you, like in every single telenovela that my grandma was watching, and this would be like the negative character. So I want to ask Cerberus XT if he gets to see this. Like, here's my question to you: justify why I need to spend $120. Like, why do you think that my fantasy revolves around seeing grandma fucking her companions? Because the developers of the game were in an interview and they were saying how they hired porn actors and how much they diverted resources into having like bones and shit because they saw it in Baldur's Gate. Why would I pay $120 to see that? Why do I want to see elderly abuse with grandma being taken to fight dragons and shit? Do you think I'm a sick fuck or something? I actually respect my elderly. I don't want to play video games when I get to see elderly abuse. Like, I'm sorry. I'm going to play Stellar Blade now. And Nikkei. But anyway, right. So, hey V, fellow man of culture. I've not been able to catch your streams, but I want you to know I appreciate your content and keep up the good work. Is she pregnant? I don't fucking know. No, I think she's just fat, man. I think she's just fat. It's fine. Like, you know, there used to be, because like the aesthetics that they're doing is just the most dumb shit ever. It's like, we are challenging preconceived notions. In other words, they're trying to pray the gay away, the woke version, right? Because like, if you think about it, the Christians, they didn't like homosexuality. So what did they do? It's like, oh, we're going to have these conversion therapies and we're going to pray the gay away, right? And now people notice it doesn't work that way. Like, people are attracted in what they are attracted. Usually the penis, like South Park put it the best, the penis is like a friendship compass. It points towards people that you think they should be your friend, and in the morning it points upwards because Jesus is your friend. But you can't like tell someone you need to be attracted to cellulitis. And if you put it in enough video games and you pretend that everyone is into cellulitis, then an individual will be, you know what, cellulitis is the shit. It doesn't work that way. Like, people are attracted in whatever they are attracted. You can't rationalize it. Like, if you find someone attractive, you cannot unwill it. Like, you cannot find someone attractive and then will yourself to be unattracted by that person. And alternatively, if you find someone disgusting, you cannot find them attractive. Like, no amount of talking, reasoning, like, these don't change, right? So, like, their idea is, all right, we know that we are ugly as sin. Like, we're 45-year-old developers. We're past our peak. We don't go to the gym. We like to let ourselves go. So if we insert our visage, if we insert our image into our games, then people will find us attractive again. But again, it doesn't work that way. The only thing it does is makes people disgusted and they don't buy your game. Like, fantasy is about having the unobtainium. It's like trying to better yourself, to be the best that you can be. Like, this is what fantasy is about since Greek theater. And it's all the way up until now. So, like, this idea, oh, yes, we're just going to cast ugly people and we're going to gaslight the population that ugliness is beautiful and eventually people will change their mind. No, sorry. It's just, like, you've tried it for the last 4 years. You can keep trying it until you go bankrupt and people are going to buy Wukong and you're not going to understand why it's happening. Not pregnant yet, but I'm sure chat will know as soon as possible. I see, Sarah. To deny one's instinct is to deny one's humanity. Part of it is about the women that used to use their looks to get through life, now pushing an agenda because they know it's fine. I have no idea why they're doing it, but what I do know is the toxic positivity that apparently was at the Concord. Like, that type of culture is why you get this shit. It's literally the Emperor had no clothes things, right? So if you actually read the original story of the Emperor had no clothes, it's even worse, right? Because it doesn't really make sense when you read it as a kid, which is why they changed it. So the Emperor had no clothes is like, obviously, you know, you get this tailor that says he can do magic and he create magical clothes and only stupid people cannot see the clothes. So if you can't see them, it means you're stupid. But if you can see them, then it means you're a normal person. And the Emperor walks naked on the streets and eventually a child goes like, haha, the Emperor is naked. And then everyone laughs, right? You don't really get that story when you're a kid. Like, you think the child is smart. But the reality is the original story, it was you don't get to see the clothes unless you're a bastard. Like, that was the original story, right? Sorry, my bad. If you don't see the clothes, you're a bastard. So, in other words, you're a person that is born out of wedlock, and there was a lot of social stigma in the medieval time, so that's why the story made sense at the time, right? So the kid saying that the emperor has no clothes means that he is a bastard, means that he's now going to get ostracized from society. People are laughing at the kid. They're not laughing at the emperor for being naked. That is what the story is trying to say about the psychology of the masses. So basically what's happening with toxic positivity at these companies is you have someone that actually comes up with this design and they say, yeah, you know, like teenage guys, they will spend $120 to play with this because this is what teenage guys fantasize about. Like in their fantasy, this is what they like. And they're going to pay us money if we sell it to them. And no one can say, dude, are you insane? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you have a study to back this up? Are you, right? Like, no one is allowed to question, because if you question, then you're a bastard. And if you're a bastard, you need to get ostracized, in other words, fired from the company. So this is why you get this shit. And it's just going to get more and more ridiculous. Like, remember when people were laughing at heels versus babyface for the pronouns, right? People were laughing, and now it's getting worse. And it's going to get even worse 2 years from now if this is allowed to continue. Like, here's the thing with the pronouns. The first time it appeared, it was at GDC. And I remember that everyone on the stream was mocking and they were ridiculing the commentators that had the pronouns. And the commentators just couldn't ban people enough. And at one point, they just disabled the chat altogether because they were bored from banning people. So what ends up happening is that the same individuals that were doing the mocking and the ridiculing, all of a sudden they're laughing at heels versus babyface for bringing it up. So they managed to normalize the pronouns. But there's just like so much you can normalize, because at one point people are going to say, dude, you're mentally insane. Just shut the fuck up. And it is mental insanity if you believe that a trans person isn't just going to play a female character or a male character. Like if you're a guy and you transition to female and you're playing an RPG, why wouldn't you just play female? If you're a woman and you're transitioning to men, why wouldn't you just play men? This is like World of Warcraft saying, oh, you know, we're going to cater to the furries, so we're creating the Worgen race, but the Worgens are just humans with furry costumes on them. And I'll be like, why? Because furries need to see themselves. See, does that make any fucking sense? So you can use your imagination and create anything, but you're going to create the Worgen race, which is like a race of werewolves in the game, and you're just going to have like human beings cosplaying as Worgens. Do you think people will buy that? Imagine if the Night Elves were the same. It's like just humans just cosplaying as Night Elves in the game. It's like, hold on a little bit. Like, people don't want that in their fantasy. Like, if a person is trans, they will play as a character of the gender they identify with. Problem solved, right? No, you want an immersion break. You want to say, actually, in this fantasy world, where you have swords and shields and they don't have electricity, well, actually, they can perform very delicate modern surgery. They can just remove the breasts, so it means that they have the chemistry required to know how to make anesthetic. They have the electricity required in order to know how to make the machinery, the image machinery, and they can run blood works and all of that. And they have like a team of highly specialized doctors. Oh god. But yeah, this is modern gaming, I guess. And look at this one, right? Look at this one. This is just, I mean, we're reaching levels where it's so fucking difficult for IGN to start shilling. Like I would absolutely hate to be IGN right now, because you know you gotta shill something and they're like, okay, what do you want me to shill? And they show you the product and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. Dude, like how can we show this to the public? Right? So they will say, wow, this is amazing. Look how great this looks. This is absolutely fantastic. And they show you this image. And people are mocking them in the comment sections. They're like, what the fuck? Dude, like, are we looking at the same thing? And apparently, yes, like, this is fantasy, right? Like, this is what, I guess, like, the modern American is willing to spend $120 in order to imagine himself playing as. It's just, I mean, okay, you know, like what other people do with their money, that's their business, but I guarantee to you, I can stay disinterested longer than they can stay solvent. I don't even know, like, why does it have boobs and shit? Does it even matter at this point? People are saying it's the ugliest thing I have ever seen, and I've played Oblivion. I mean, no, seriously, just look at this character editor. Like, I don't think there has been a game that can make these types of atrocities. Now, here's the thing. There are streamers out there that will create a character like this as a joke. And you know, like, they're making a character that's over the top and funny, and they're laughing at it. These people take it seriously. Like, they're like, no, this is what I fantasize. Like, in my fantasy, I view taking this lady to a date. And I'm willing to spend more than $120 for the experience. Jesus Christ. It's getting to the point like someone was telling me, oh, it's time to go to the high seas. Dude, listen. You think that Nuvo is good at protecting intellectual property? No. Like, these people have finally managed to find a way that is the #1 best anti-piracy system on the market, which is to make the game so ugly no one wants to touch it. Like, seriously, if someone was to give me Dragon Age, the new one, and they would be like, V, it's free. Just play it. I would be like, no, like, please take it back. Delete this. I'm not, no, seriously, like, chat, I'm not even joking. I'm not interested. Like, this is, it used to be like this, right? Like, when they were fucking with the games. In the beginning, I would go out of my way to buy games. Like, in the beginning, if they were making a game, I would buy the DLC, I would buy the deluxe edition, I would buy, like, everything I could in order to support the developers. If I genuinely loved the game, like, if it was a franchise that I really, really like, I would have bought the deluxe edition. I did this for Stellar Blade. And recently, I also did it for Nikkei. I spent $60 in Nikkei. As I was like, you know what? I've been playing this game for months, and, I think, like, I got more entertainment out of it than the entire quadruple A games that came out. I'm going to spend $60 on Nikkei because I think they deserve it. Hopefully, they will use the money to make better shit. So, that's what I do when I like it. But, like, then they started making games worse and worse and worse. And it was a time when I was like, I'm not going to play the game, but then someone would gift it to me, and I'll be like, oh, okay, fine, you know, I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a try. Sometimes I would go to a friend's house that had a parrot, and I would play the game there, you know, okay, fine. But now the games are so bad, I don't even want them for free. Like, if someone gives me this game, I will flat out tell them I'm not playing it. And you could actually check to see, like, you can look at my Steam page, and you will see that it's going to have 0 hours played. I'm not even remotely curious to launch the game and see what it's like. I'm just looking at the trailer, I'm looking at the presentation, I'm looking at the people pushing it. I'm listening to the developers saying why they made the game the way they made it, and I'm like, okay, I'm not buying this. Period. Yeah, intellectual property is a too strong word to use for Dragon Age of Consent. What you're saying is that Dragon Age will come pre-installed on Windows 12. See, like, that would actually be an interesting thing. Like, do you want to buy... I would probably switch to Linux. Like, just so you know, look, I'm not the only one feeling this way. And I can prove it, right? Because for a while, like one of the things that the leftists try to do is to make you, to gaslight you into feeling that you're alone, and if you think the way you think, you're somehow mentally damaged or something, right? Like, they actually think the correct way, and if you think this way, you're bad. But let me tell you the reality of the thing. People hate Sony so fucking much now. Like, especially after the Stellar Blade controversy. And the Stellar Blade controversy, even if it's true or not, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Because people are just fed up with Sony's censorship and their double standards, where, again, imagine that scene from The Last of Us 2, where Abby is getting porked from behind. Imagine if they like, traced it with Stellar Blade, and you'd have like literally every single frame and the same dialogue and the same stuff, but the sex scene from The Last of Us 2 would be in Stellar Blade, or sex scenes from Baldur's Gate would be in Stellar Blade. Do you think Sony would allow them? Right. So, with that out of the way, people are fucking pissed at Sony. There's so many reasons, including their spyware tactics. It's like, oh yes, we're going to listen it to what people use in voice chat so we can ban them. We're going to try and harvest data if you're on PlayStation Network. Like all this shit. You know, it's just like it keeps adding up, and people are tired, especially the fact that they don't have any game exclusives. So you have a game that's actually beloved by the market. Like, everyone likes Helldivers. Like, Helldivers is now an indie game. It's making the waves. Everyone is happy with it. Everyone loves it, right? Well, what happens? Helldivers says, yeah, in order to moderate better, we're going to force people to have a PlayStation Network account. Like that just requires moving the mouse, right? Like, you move the mouse, you make a PlayStation Network account, 5 minutes, it's free. What did people do? Oh, they took more than 5 minutes to write negative reviews, to refund the game, to tell other people not to buy it. It was such a catastrophe that their sales were plummeting. Like from a game that was at the peak, and from a game that was being successful, they managed to completely fuck it. That's how pissed people are now. So, no, you're not alone. You're not alone. Like, if they were to make Dragon Age pre-install on Windows 12, I wouldn't be surprised if people would switch to Linux, and I would be like, no, fuck this shit. Hi V, hope your day is good news, giving Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson the Clarence Thomas treatment. Oof. Yeah, but like, it's like so many things, right? It's, first of all, the arrogance. Like, the way they're making games, and they're saying that making games differently than us means that you're evil. If you like games that are from Asia, it means that you're evil. If you don't agree with our mission statement, it means that you're evil. If you're evil, we just want to block you and not talk to you, and we don't want your cash. And it's like, who the fuck do these people think they are, man? Once again, they underestimate my Steam backlog. Yeah. Like, I have played so many old games this year and the year before, and I haven't purchased a single AAA game. Like, let me think if I purchased something this year. So I purchased Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, right? Like, that one came out this year. Haven't purchased Wukong yet. Yeah, holy shit, I haven't bought... Okay. I bought Age of Mythology Retold, and I bought Age of Empires 4. So these are like the only games that I have bought this year. For the first time ever, I didn't buy Mortal Kombat DLC, because I usually was a big Mortal Kombat fan, but like now it's Woke Kombat, and like, no. The new Street Fighter, they haven't released any interesting female characters since the release. Like, Cammy was nice, Jury was very nice, but after that, they stopped releasing any good characters that I'm interested, so I haven't looked into the game either. And, yeah, I mean, I just play old games. I played Warcraft 3 this year, I played Age of Wonders 1, Age of Wonders 2, I played Age of Empires, as we discussed, and that's pretty much it, and I'm happy with it, you know, it's fine. I can, again... They don't know that I can stay disinterested far longer than they can stay solvent. So let's talk about Diddy. Diddy, again, as I said in the beginning of the stream, it's one of those cases where you hear the man's name and you're like, what a weird name. Like, why would anyone choose the name Papa Diddy? And then you find out what he did, and you're like, oh, so that's why that, oh, Jesus. You know, it's kind of like that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is really interesting because usually what happens in Hollywood is at least behind the scenes, but with Justin Bieber, it was so overt and over the top. Like, a lot of people now freak out about sexualization in anime, right? So, we're not talking about kids. But like if it's a teenager, like My Hero Academia, right? Very popular anime, but like some of the costumes from the superheroes, they're a little bit risque. Very similar to what X-Men used to have, and there's so many people freaking out about it. Like, they tried to cancel the anime because they had a beauty pageant, and I think, like, the character that appeared in a revealing dress, which again, like, it's not like she appeared in a strip suit or anything like that, right? It's just like one of the characters with big tits had cleavage. And they tried to cancel the anime over that, right? Like, they're freaking out about Uzaki-chan. Uzaki-chan, even though she's adult, she's short, and she lacks the height of consent, so, like, people on Twitter freak out. But, like, no one talks about Justin Bieber and the music industry. And it's so fucked up. So, when I was growing up, you know, I didn't realize it because I was close to the age of Justin Bieber. And he had, like, loads of women, like, loads of hot, sexy girls just drooling over him. And at that age, I was like, man, I wish there were girls that were like that with me as well, you know? But then when you grow up and you realize what happened, it's like, oh, well, that's really fucked up, isn't it? Because the guy was definitely uncomfortable. Like, there are situations where he was on a stage and another actress forcefully kissed him. And you can see that he is so uncomfortable with that. And again, like, he was under the age back then. And no one was, you know, raising any alarms. No one was concerned. No one, right? And then you find out that actually it seemed to have gone even worse than that. So, like, this one resurfaced, and especially now when people know what Papa Diddy was doing. Like, look at this.
Everything's good? Selling out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you haven't. I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But
look how nervous he is. Look how nervous he is, and look how Papa Diddy is looking at him. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah. Everything's good.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Jesus Christ. It's so fucking creepy now, yeah. He used to be homeless, so he grew up used to being exploited. Is that the story of Justin Bieber? I didn't really look into his story. But anyway, right, like very, very disgusting, very creepy. Holy shit. Now I looked into the Papa Diddy thing. And I think I know... I think I know what happened. So basically, there are some people that defend him, believe it or not. Which is normal. Like, usually when you have a celebrity, usually when you have someone with millions of fans, there are people that generally don't want to believe that the individual they liked ended up being a molester, right? Like there are people that generally don't want to believe that. And then there's also people that are in certain groups and cliques, and they want to say what everyone else is saying. So basically they're saying, oh, well, it's the Matrix, right? It's this case, like the politicians, or it's because he said this and that, and the system is against him. So I looked into it. I wanted to see, is the system really against him? And what I found out, and I think like this is the story because this is what his lawyers were saying. Again, as for my understanding, because I only skimmed the cases, I didn't read them in depth, but basically they were saying that there was this woman that wrote a book about him, and she went to him and said, yeah, I think it was either 30 or 40 million dollars. Let's go with 40. She basically tried to extort him, and it's like, look, I wrote this book, I have like all these people with their own testimony, and they're in the book, and everything that happened, so if you want this book not to get out, you're going to pay me $40 million for the exclusive rights for this book. And then you're never going to see it again. And he says like, no, I'm not going to do that. So she goes on and then says, okay, well, I'm going to file a lawsuit against you. And he's like, all right, well, file a lawsuit. So after he files the lawsuit, after she files the lawsuit, he's like, okay, well, we're going to settle. And they settled immediately almost. Like, they didn't even go through discovery. They just settled. And I think, like, what that meant was that other people who were also his victims went like, okay, well, if this person could get $40 million off of him, like, maybe I could get some as well, right? So now you have, like, a group of people that are also saying, yeah, we're going to sue your ass. Now, you need to understand the way prosecutors work, right? Like, the way prosecutors make renown is the opposite of the way lawyers make renown. Like, a lawyer, if they land a high-profile case and they're defending, like, a celebrity or someone that people think they're guilty, but it ends up that the lawyer did such a good job they got him off, then in the world of legal, like in the legal environment, that is a good lawyer. Like, that lawyer is going to get a lot of phone calls, is going to get a lot of customers that also want the lawyer to get them off, right? But the prosecutor is the opposite. The prosecutor, like, they want to land these sexy cases where it's a celebrity, it's someone that everyone knows, and if they can manage to convict that person, that's how the prosecutors get prestige. That's how they get promotions. That's why other prosecutors talk about them. So when the prosecutors saw, like, the huge number of people that are now willing to sue Mr. Diddy, they're like, oh, well, maybe there's something here. And I think that's when the indictment happened. That's when the raids happened, and they actually did find stuff. So, yeah, in hindsight, for Mr. Diddy, if, like, he would have just paid the book, none of this would have happened. So, it is what it is. The fact is, like, he paid the money anyway later on. But what I also noticed, because again, like, I'm looking into it, I'm looking at the case, I'm looking at, like, what happened, and one of the interesting things is that he was actually name-dropping his guest list for his last birthday party. And it's like, I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's basically trying to say that if he goes down, those people go down. And my God, there were a lot of names. My God, there were a lot of names, a lot of celebrities. Like, if this guy ends up snitching, it would be like an Epstein case, but not for politicians, for musicians, for famous people, for actors. Like, hopefully, it unravels, and you're going to see, like, a huge list of people. Because what seems to happen in these environments in the entertainment industry, right? Like, again, people keep attacking Asian entertainment industry, but when you look at what the West is doing, I think it should clean up house first. I'm not saying they shouldn't clean up the Asian house, heaven forbid, but, like, first clean up your own place to show that you at least get some experience in cleaning. Especially from what you hear, like, you get a lot of actors from Hollywood or from the hip-hop industry, and if you want to reach the top, a lot of people are afraid that you're going to use your platform in a negative way, right? So, like, they don't want you to end up being as popular as Justin Bieber and then start talking about your personal politics or your personal opinions. Like, it's obvious that almost every single musician and every single Hollywood actor, they have the same opinions, they have the same takes, they're pushing the same agendas, right? So how is it possible? I mean, if you go in a room with 100 random people, how likely is it that they would all have the same takes on the important issues? And the reason is that they're groomed in order to have these takes. It's very likely that there's blackmail on them, like they're invited to these parties where, if they're not the ones doing stuff, they're still there, so they can be videotaped, they can be, like, allegedly there is a Justin Bieber sex tape that's blackmail and it was going around. Like, there's a lot of shit in the media. I don't know which is true and which one isn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the case, right? So, like, you're getting invited to these birthday parties, you're being drugged, and you're being, especially, like, if you're a young person, and then they videotape you, and then it's like, okay, well, look, you're a celebrity, but if you don't say the correct things, if you step out of line, if you have, like, the incorrect ideas, then all of the sex tapes can be revealed. Now, why do I believe this is the thing? Why am I so certain that this is the situation? Well, what was with the sex tape in the White House? Sorry, not in the White House, in the Senate, right? Like, you have boot sex in the Senate, and it's filmed. So, like, the question is, like, who would do something like that unless they're basically consenting to a tape that can be used to be blackmailed against them? And the only reason you would consent to something like that is like if you're being promised something. And you're like, look, we're going to promise you this position, but if you want this position, you got to do this so that we can control you. And there are people that are willing to do it. There are people that are like, you know what, like being an aide to a senator, like that is a really high place in a person's career, right? It gives you a lot of power. It gives you a lot of prestige. And there are people that do not have the required dignity and the required honor, and they're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. It's like, what is it? Boot sex? Yeah, fine, I'll do it. Videotape me. Where do you want to do it? In the Senate? Fuck, let's do it in the Senate. And then they have that tape, and every time they step out of line, it's like, do you want this tape to be leaked to the press? Do you want it to be leaked to the media? So this is what I think. Now, yeah, hip-hop is a very weird thing, right? Because I notice how a lot of the Western critics, like, they criticize anime all the fucking time. They criticize all TV shows. They criticize video games like Stellar Blade. Like, they're all about criticizing. But for some fucking reason, even independent content creators, they never, ever criticize hip-hop music. Ever. I haven't heard a single person criticizing hip-hop music. Like, if you guys have heard of it, like, let me know. And what does hip-hop music do? It glorifies gangster violence. It glorifies the gangster life. It goes against the police. Like, it's got some incredibly negative messages. And, you know, like, it's fine. Like, if you believe art is just art and, like, okay, whatever. But, like, why is it that everything else gets criticized? Everything else gets scrutinized. But for some reason, hip-hop doesn't, right? Like the same people that bitch about sexism in anime, and it's like, oh, hypersexualization and fan service. When they see a hip-hop guy with like two babes in a bikini dancing next to him and dollars just flowing out of the ceiling, they don't say a peep. In fact, I will even get beyond that, and I will say that the Gillette commercial, when they were talking about, you know, how it's evil to say boys will be boys and how you shouldn't tolerate what men do. There was a clip from a rap video. And it was exactly what I described. It was like two girls shaking their ass in front of the camera and dollars just falling from the ceiling. Now, what's interesting is that they removed that clip. They removed that clip. Like they first issued the commercial with the clip on. And what they did then is like they removed it. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, what are you doing? That's, wow. It's not about noticing or anything like that. Like, independent content creators do not criticize hip-hop. Right? Like you will see on YouTube random people that go after fan service in anime and how they don't like My Hero Academia and how they don't like Demon Slayer and how they don't like this and that. But they never say anything about hip-hop. Not a single vowel. Like, they don't even address the subject. Yeah, I mean, WAP is the perfect idea. You know who's the only person that I know who criticized wet-ass pussy? There's just like one content creator, and that's Belle Delphine. And what she did was abso-fucking-lutely brilliant. This is why, if I had the marketing campaign, I would unironically hire Belle Delphine. I don't care how much she asked. If I can pay her, I would. So basically, she does a video of her recreating the images from the wet-ass pussy video. So, like, she goes into the musical video, which was trending on YouTube. It was #1, and she recreates the scenes. Now, you guys can go and watch the video yourselves, and you can see what scenes are there. And then imagine Belle Delphine doing it. Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened, chat? In less than a day, her channel didn't get a community guideline strike. It was actually removed from YouTube. She lost her YouTube channel for recreating the most popular video on the platform. And that obviously pissed people off. That obviously... she did what? Be right back. That obviously, like, got a lot of people to contact Team YouTube and point out, it's like, hey, like, why the double standard? Right? And she got her channel reinstated. She probably got, like, another 100,000 subscribers for that stunt. And she's a fucking marketing genius. Like, yeah. Yeah, like, she actually showed the hypocrisy. Without the makeup, Belle looks like a little boy. I mean, how old is she? Like, it's expected. What if the anime industry is the same? I mean, look, either they can hide it very well, and there's like a lot of anime creators and artists that, they're also involved in these drug parties and all this shit, or they just don't do it. I don't know which is the case, but like, I don't think any other country can compete with Hollywood when it comes to this level of degeneracy. I think like Hollywood is number one, and I think it's always going to be number one. Papa did the same stuff that Epstein did, which is had the government supports if you're the right type of person. Well, from what I understand, and I haven't looked into the Diddy case that much, but Epstein had like prepubescent children on an island and was involved with politicians. While Papa Diddy, he still had like underage people, but they were teenagers, and he was involving himself with the music industry. So like the clientele is a little bit different, right? Like politicians on one hand and people in the music industry in the other. So it's more likely that he will survive to testify, let's put it like this. It's more likely that he will actually manage to reach the point where he testifies. The voice actor industry can't compete with Hollywood. No, the iPhone isn't dead yet. It just warned me that it's got 10% battery left. I missed a couple of super chats. All right, let me check. Thank you for telling me. Not just a molester, the violator. He crossed state lines. Well, look, in the case of some crimes, crossing state lines, yes, it is a crime. Like one of them... I had to look when, what was it? Mr. Disrespect, right? Like when he was in the news, I had to check. And apparently, like if you cross state lines with a girl who's underage so that you can go into a state where the age of consent is fine, that is a crime in America. You gotta understand, in Romania, we don't have state lines, so I don't know how it's like. But like, let's say you're in a state where 18 is the age of consent, and you say, all right, well, let's go into this other state because the age of consent is 16. That is a crime. So like crossing state lines, yes, like it would be a crime if it's proven that you did that. I think I read all the other super chats though. Yeah, America is really weird when it comes to like this, because like different states have different ages of consent. Like from what I noticed, the majority of them are 16, but there are a couple of them where it's 18. And on Twitter, if let's say a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old get together, Twitter freaks out. It's weird. But like, to be fair, on Twitter, if the person is 18 and she dates Leonardo DiCaprio, they also freak out. But if the roles are reversed and it's an 18-year-old guy who dates like a woman of the age of Leonardo DiCaprio, they go like, nice. So yeah, like Twitter morality is ever fluctuating and very interesting thing. It's legal, but it's a crime. No, you don't understand. If you're in that state, it's kind of weird, I get it, but like the law is the law, right? So if you're in the state, and let's say you're 28 and the girl is 17, right? So in some states that is legal, but if you're both in a state where 18 is the legal one and you decide to cross state lines to go in another state just for the purpose of having sex with her, then that is a crime. And I think it's a federal crime. So, no, it's not legal. Like, that's the point. It's illegal. The Mann Act? Oh, they have a name for it? You gotta understand, like, for Europeans, it's difficult to understand this because we don't have state lines. Like, we have national laws. And I think, like, in Europe, if you were to, like, go from... a country where the age of consent is one place and you're like traveling the European Union into another where the age of consent is different, I don't think that's a crime. I don't know. I would have to check. I never even thought about looking into such things. But yeah, Europe is becoming more and more like America in the sense of the federal states. Like if the European Union is actually going to be recognized as a country and it's going to be like a federal nation, we will also start to understand what state lines are. Because, like, from our perspective, if you go from Romania to Hungary, that's like going into another country. That's like going from the United States to Mexico, right? We don't have the experience of going from Texas to Georgia. Like, that is something that we don't... Yeah, we have country lines, I guess. My super ass was about the movie Society, if you haven't seen it. Why is it so familiar? I may have seen it, but I don't remember it. Yeah, the state lines in the European Union are like the national borders within the EU. You're basically like not really... So it depends if you're in the Schengen area or not, but usually you just need an ID. Like you still need some form of proof that you're a EU citizen, and then you can just cross the line. You can go from like Germany into Hungary, and it's fine, right? You can go from Germany into Poland, and they still frisk you at the airport. Like, it depends on how you travel, I guess. Like, if you decide to go at the airport, they will still frisk you, but they do that in order to make sure that you don't have like any explosives or stuff on the airplane. But the frisking is also retarded, because this is something that I don't understand, right? So if I try to take a sharp object, I actually wanted to go, when I went to Sargon, I wanted to get like a replica sword. And it was a replica sword from a keychain. It looked like a medieval sword. It wasn't able to cut anything, but, you know, apparently I wasn't allowed because it was higher than a couple of centimeters, whatever, right? So, like, they told me to throw it away because it's dangerous. They don't want me on the plane with that because I can do danger. And I'm like, okay, fine, you know, a little bit disappointing, but I throw it away. And then I get past the security, and when you're past the security, you're in the place where they have, like, bars, and they have places where you can shop. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not allowed to have, like, this little keychain. I'm not allowed to have, like, this little tiny sword because it's dangerous. But you can buy a bottle of wine. Alright, what happens if you break the bottle of... Oh, you get shards. Oh, they're a lot more sharper and dangerous than the sword that was confiscated from... Who makes these rules? Like, who comes up with these rules and regulations? And how do they make sense? You can't go into Germany anymore. They've got full Ausländer raus. You put that stuff in the cargo hold baggage and it's fine. Yeah, but like, why can't I have it on me? I didn't buy a cargo hold baggage. Like, that was the thing, right? But the purpose isn't about me being able to have the keychain or not. Because, like, that's fine. You know, you don't want me to have it, I won't have it. I'm not breaking rules. But how does it make sense if you're saying that, okay, this is too dangerous and you can't have it on you, but then you go to the shop and you can buy a bottle of wine that's made out of glass? Like if you can explain to me in any way, shape, or form, like, how does that make sense? Yeah, they don't have to make sense. You just got it. Yeah, exactly. I bought a katana back from Spain. Those were the good days. Yeah, no, like, I think you can actually get katanas and stuff. Or maybe you can't anymore. I don't know. But regardless, you gotta put them in the cargo hold bag, right? So, like, if it's in the cargo hold bag, it's a lot more permissible than if you want to take it with you on a plane. Oh, they want money. That's the okay. To be fair, you know, that now that I'm looking at the situation in London, there was a guy, and again, you're reading this news, and it really affects you at some point, because you realize this actually happened to a family man. Like, there's a father who's not going to see his kids that day because of this lunacy that the UK is going through. And he had, like, a Zelda sword, and it was a fidget spinner. And the cops go to him, and they're like, yeah, we're going to arrest you because you're carrying a weapon in public. And the guy's like, yeah, but, like, it's a replica Zelda sword. Like, it can't hurt anyone. What are you doing, right? And they don't care, and they arrest him, and now they're prosecuting him. And it's like, oh, so, like, he didn't even know it's a crime. He's obviously not a menace to the public. Like you could have let him off with a warning, but you're going to want to. So now I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe it's good that the airplane, the airport didn't allow me to carry the fidget spinner. Certain urban youths ruined it for everyone. I see. Yeah, instead of dealing with the problem, they punished everyone else. Yeah. It is what it is. There was like another one where the cops were actually proud of this, and they were like, "Look, we took these weapons off the streets," and they showed the potato peeler. By the way, I generally like want to ask people in Britain. Okay, so like this is just a question. Like, if you live in Britain, please tell me. I'm genuinely curious. How is it that you guys buy cutlery? Like, seriously, if I want to buy a machete for gardening, you're not allowed to carry it on the street. So like, how do you bring it home? What if you don't have a car? How do you buy a knife? Like here in Romania, I just bought a knife the other day, right? Like, you go to the mall, and they usually have like these shops where they sell kitchen utensils, and you just put it in your bag and you take it home, right? But like, if you're in Britain, especially in London, I understand it's illegal to carry weapons. So like, if you genuinely want to buy a machete for gardening, do you have to mail order? Like, is it the only way? Is it like buying a gun? Do you have to place your order in advance? Don't tell me it's probably fine, because like, I have seen it with other people that thought they understand what's fine and what isn't, and they were wrong. They're just second-class citizens. Yeah, a lot of people are complaining about that on the internet. Mail delivery or private car? No, but I'm not asking like how you can get one, because obviously like there are ways that you can get one and, you know, be fine. I'm asking the legal way. I don't think the law says, hey, if you're in a private car, it's fine, right? Like, I'm genuinely, and even if it's a private car, you can still be in danger. Like, you can still get in a traffic stop, and then the cop can look through your vehicle. Oh, you have to put it in the butt? Is London now like a prison where any type of cutlery is considered a shank, and if they catch you with a shank, they put you in the hole? In Scotland, I was shooting at the age of 6, able to carry my gun in a bag, and at 14, I was able to freely buy any knife up until a few years ago. If you have reasonable cause and it's secure, you should be fine. See, this is what shocks me the most, because I'm talking with people from Britain, and they're basically saying it should be, it could be. So like, even you guys don't know what the fucking law is. Let me ask ChatGPT. Like, if I was in London, I would definitely make sure that I'm, you know, law-abiding. So, in London, it's illegal to carry a knife. How does one person legally buy a knife then? In London and the broader UK, it is indeed illegal to carry a knife in public without good reason, but purchasing a knife for a lawful purpose is still allowed under strict regulations. Here's how you can buy it. Age. You must be 18 years old. Oh, fuck off. No fucking way. No fucking way. Jesus. Okay. You must. Okay. What if you're a teenager and you're living alone? Like, you're 16, right? Like, I know many cases like this in Romania. They're 16 and they're living alone. And you're like, oh, my knife is dull. I should buy a new one. And you're like, well, no, you're not 18 yet. What the fuck? You must be at least 18-year-old to purchase a knife, including kitchen knives or bladed articles. Retailers are required to verify your age, whether the purchase is in person or online. You cannot live alone. You cannot live alone until you're 18 in the UK. I gotta say, you know, I grew up in a rural area. Like, I remember kids as young as 14 were using axes to chop wood. I don't know if the American brain can comprehend this, but it's true. Like at the age of 14, yeah, like they would go out. They weren't, chopping down trees or anything. But in order to have like firewood, you would have like a tree stump, And you would use it in order to chop like the big one into smaller pieces, right? And those smaller pieces went into the fire. Yeah, like kids as old as 14 would do that shit. It must horrify the British sensibilities. Types of knives. Certain types of knives, like flick knives and switchblades and butter knives, are banned from sale altogether. By the way, Americans, this is what happens when they ban your guns. Like, they will just move to the next thing. They will never solve the problem. Like, they never solve the issue. But it's like, okay, well, and the thing that I don't even get is like, okay, they don't like stabbings. I get it, you know? But if you're not fixing the issue, which is the fact that one person wants to take another person's life, what's to stop them from using a bike and a lock? Sorry, a lock and a chain. I have seen like people from Antifa doing this. Like they would put the lock inside the shopping bag so that it looks from a distance that they're just hitting someone with the shopping bag, and the person doesn't understand why the other guy is reacting so violently, right? Hammers, stones, like come on, you know, banning knives isn't going to solve the problem, but I'm pretty sure they know it. It's just like it allows the politicians to look as if they're doing something. Purpose of purchase. Most knives can be bought legally for purpose like cooking, gardening, or do-it-yourself work. The law is focusing on preventing people from carrying these items in public without a valid reason. But like, here's another question, right? If the cop stops you and you have a knife in package, and you're like, well, why are you carrying it? Well, I just bought it. Okay. Do they also want to see the receipt? Like, what if you threw it away? So you can actually go in legal trouble because the law is so vague, right? Like when you purchase a knife, it should be the same like purchasing a gun, I guess. Transporting the knife. After you purchase, you can take it home, but it must be transported securely. Like what the fuck, in a safe? And only used for its intended purposes. Okay, so no, hold on. Like this is another problem. Like let's say I'm sleeping in my house, right? And all of a sudden, I hear someone coming through the window. And I also have my wife and my son resting next to me, right? So I grab whatever is at hand. I grab a knife. And I defend my home. That's illegal, right? Because I'm now using the knife for something that's of non-intended purpose. So like what? Do I get the hammer? Like what do I just put my fists up and hope the other guy does the same? I will be like, sir, with all due respect, right? Because you need to be polite. It's Britain, sir. With all due respect, I will now call the police. Please give me just a couple of minutes, right? You're an honorable person, I see, right? Give me a couple of minutes while I call the cops, and after that we can start fisticuffing. I don't want to break the law, sir. I'm not like you. I'm better than you. Online orders. When ordering knives online, the seller is responsible for verifying the buyer's age. And deliveries are more made face-to-face. To ensure that the recipient meets the age of request. This is fucking insane, dude. This is... Wow. You pray to God for divine intervention, right? Yeah, I don't know what to say. This is just, wow. To be fair, though, I remember in Romania when I was at law school. I mean, the law may have been changed. But we were talking about self-defense. And when you read about self-defense, like, it makes sense in the beginning. It's like, you're only supposed to use it if you feel that there's an imminent danger to your life or to others, right? Like, it's pretty basic. It's like common sense. But then the thing that's not common sense is like, you need to use proportional force. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like what do you mean you're not allowed to use disproportionate force? And the professor explains to me, and even the professor didn't agree and thought it's ridiculous. It's like, well, if the guy doesn't have a weapon, you're not supposed to have a weapon either. If the guy has a melee weapon, like a stick, you're supposed to not go beyond the stick. If he's got a knife, then you can get a knife. If he's got a gun, then you can get a gun. And I'm like, well, hold on a little. This is fucking retarded. So, like, in a normal life or death situation, because that's when we're talking about self-defense, right? Like, you got an imminent fear for your life. You're probably not thinking straight anymore. And the last thing on your mind is like, all right, so, gentlemen, what weapons are we using today? What do you guys have? You know, and even then, it's like, okay, someone breaks into your house. Like, you're at the top floor and you hear someone breaking into your house. Like, what do? Right? It's the middle of the night. You can barely see straight. So now you have to shout, "Excuse me, sir. Sir, I know you're robbing me, but I need to ask. What weapon are you carrying? Because, like, right here, I got my armory, and I need to know what do I pick. Are you carrying a knife? Can I get a knife? Oh, you got a machete? Okay, then I'm going to get the sight. I'll be there in a little bit. Just wait for me, and then we can duel." Right? Like, it's insane. Like, whoever wrote that piece of legislation didn't do so while actually putting themselves in a situation where they need to exercise self-defense. In the early days of social justice warriors, they tried to infiltrate the music fandoms and got gate-kept out. Blurred Lines was a video that the media complained about. It is actually true, I remember that. Especially they got kept out of heavy metal. Realistically, I think the intruder hurt you with a sharp thing, you'll probably be arrested in the UK. Oh yeah, I heard about certain interesting things, even before the UK actually went mental. So, some of the things I agree with, others not so much. Like, one of the weirdest things that I found was a thief was trying to get into someone's house, and they actually ended up locking themselves into that person's garage, and they survived a week there on dog food. So now they were suing the person for inhumane treatment. And obviously, you know, he would be sued for trespassing. And I'm thinking, like, wow, is that, like, something that's normal in a society? Like, okay, so, like, if the person manages to go mountain climbing, and he ends up falling in a cave, and he lives there for a week, right? Like, he placed himself in that situation. Like, if you place yourself into a bizarre situation, why is the person responsible just because he owes the property? It's fucking mental. An elderly man in Spain defending himself. The intruder died and he is in jail. Yeah, like things like this actually help crime grow rather than lower itself. Because if you think about it, right? It's the same with the bully in school. Like, the bully doesn't go for the jocks. The bully doesn't go for the kids that defend themselves. The bully doesn't go for the kids that are connected. They go for the lowly kid that can't defend himself. So basically, if you're just saying, yeah, citizens aren't allowed to defend themselves, then you're going to get more crime. Anyway, right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, I will make This Week in Stupid. It's up to Wars if he can show himself or not. But if it does, we're going to have a nice episode. And, yeah, take it easy.